Alright, so I just got out of bed because I had to talk to you about something. First thing I want to say is that I am not a fan of Trump. Why I'm not a fan of Trump? Because I don't think he's doing a lot of good things. But beyond that, I can't really explain it. And I want to tell you why I can't explain it. It's because we focus on all the wrong things when it comes to Trump. We call him out for things that if we just wanted to think about it a little bit, we'd realize, oh, maybe it's not so bad what he said. I hope that I'm explaining this well. Basically, there are real problems that Trump poses. His leadership, his policies, and the influence on our culture. What doesn't count as a problem are some of the sentences, little sound bites, these little things that he said that you could easily twist into being some kind of evil. And so here's the thing that I couldn't go to sleep because I was just watching Bill Maher. Bill Maher said that Trump said the widow of David Johnson, he knew what he signed up for, okay? Everybody goes, oh, okay. And I was with a friend, and she goes, oh man, I can't believe he said that. She expressed some kind of a sentiment like, oh, wow, that shocks me. But then I say, well, I need to find out what actually went on in that call, right? So that I can actually find a problem with Trump in that call. And my friend says, oh, I believe that he said that. But what does it matter if he said that? Let me try to reframe it. So a firefighter walks into a burning building and to try to save someone and dies. And her husband is torn apart, is destroyed by it. So I might say to him, hey, listen, that is a shame that that happened. I want you to remember your wife is the strong person that she was. She wanted to help people, to save lives, and that's why she became a firefighter. This isn't a tragedy that happened to her. I want you to see this not as that she was a victim of something, but that she made the noble and brave decision to try to save somebody, and she didn't make it out. And that is sad. But remember how great she is. Don't invalidate her sacrifice by acting like it was a mistake. She knew what she signed up for. She made the decision to be a hero. She knew what she was doing when she went into that building. When she followed that career of being a firefighter. She knew what she signed up for. Now, if we put this in a little bit of a different context, right? Because, like my friend reminded me, context matters. Oh, wait a minute, holy shit. No, it didn't matter when Bill Maher said to his crowd this one sentence, right? It didn't matter when I said, I want to look into that call to see what was said.
I didn't say don't.
Because what mattered was that statement. It wasn't like, yeah, I wonder what the context was. It was like, no, but he could have said that. So the fuck, what if he said that? I see that as a thing that could be comforting. I have no idea what he said. I haven't read the transcript, okay? He could just be just as much of an asshole. But when we discuss Trump the way that we do, focusing on sound bites, and then feeling free to distort them, rather than presenting sort of what thoughtful criticism of him, we fuck our chances of showing the actual problem by this kind of pathic, this kind of playing on our feelings, on our emotions, by just talking about a few words that he has used, and by making what might seem like subtle changes to his language. For instance, like the pussy grabbing, which I'm not even going to get into right now. Right? He did not add. He may have a strong influence on encouraging sexual assault. But don't try to convince me of that by saying that he advocated sexual assault by saying that joke thing about the pussy grabbing. Again, listen to me carefully. I am against Donald Trump. I believe he represents a lot of what's wrong with the world and promotes a lot of what is wrong with the world. But I want to have a more nuanced, thoughtful conversation about what's going on, rather than taking sound bites. So let's look at a context. So in the U.S. right now, Donald Trump has an extremely low approval rating among African Americans. Okay, Now imagine that it's an African-American woman under the age of 60, right? Who has access to the internet then, regular access. Let's say she's on Facebook. A lot of people are. Not a huge leap. She's on Facebook, and let's say that she has a lot of black friends. Again, not a huge leap. The U.S. is pretty segregated, socially, residentially, scholastically. So when you're surrounded in these kind of thought bubbles by people who share a lot of the same opinions, not all of the same opinions, no, but the general sentiment that Trump sucks, it's a pretty common thing. We already know that she's friends with a congresswoman. So we're talking about an African-American, Democratic, politically minded Facebook environment. You're going to see a lot of negative shit about Trump, right? Because he does suck. So is it so hard to imagine that Trump could have said that sentence, meant it in a completely different way, and that it could have been interpreted incorrectly? Now, maybe it doesn't matter what he meant if it came across that way. But I think it fucking does when we're talking about his intentions, his character, and so on. Now, yes, again, another problem with Trump that I have is that regardless of intentions, he has a shit influence on our culture. But I think that when we talk about that statement that he made, when we talk about some of the things that he says, we're talking about him. We're not saying it's possible he's a good guy, but gosh, he's giving people the wrong idea. I don't think I've ever heard that said on a late night talk show. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's not the general sentiment. The general sentiment is he is a bad guy, and you can't take that from these sentences. We have to put a little bit more effort into finding, discussing, and publicizing the problems that there are with Trump. Otherwise, we're not going to get out of this shithole. Fuck you, Trump, and fuck you, anyone who doesn't want to take the time to think, to be skeptical of themselves, and to try to advance this society intellectually, culturally, and morally.
Yeah, good morning. Yesterday I did a little rant. So anyways, I looked up the call. My focus was more on how people were reacting to the one statement, but I still wanted some context about not only the statement, about people's reaction, even though it seemed to me that people were reacting to the one statement. I got a USA Today article, which is written by Catherine B. Kirkland, and Trump's botched condolence call to Sergeant LaDavid Johnson's widow. What we all can learn. Okay. There are two parts that I want to read to you. The advice Trump received from Kelly doesn't surprise me. For a high-ranking career Marine, making meaning of his son's death through the lenses of duty, patriotism, and sacrifice is a good fit. In this context, he knew what he was getting into may well have been heard as words of comfort, and his son probably did know. But that doesn't make the same words right for every situation, and it's not hard to imagine that Army Sergeant LaDavid Johnson's newly grieving wife found them cold and even seeming to blame the victim. Indeed, for many people, any words that attempt to explain an unwanted death come across as harsh and unfeeling. That's just to kind of validate that there are people in the world who could be comforted by that statement. So the statement in and of itself should not reflect on Trump's character in the exciting way that it has. But here's what should matter, okay? And I know it's not as emotionally engaging, and it takes a few more sentences to describe this problem. Here's what should matter. The rest of the article talks about that he has a tendency to talk more than he listens, that he gets defensive, right? Our president has a tendency to talk more than he listens. Evidence of his pettiness is an important problem and something that needs to be discussed about Trump. But that one sentence, he knew what he was getting into, said with the tone, hey, he knew what he was getting into, and then with the implication, hey, your husband had it coming, he knew what he was getting into. That is not the problem. Subscribe.